Welcome to Oslo. It's a beautiful spring day. We're about to go catch a boat, see Oslo Fjord, later meet up with a couple of friends, and see what the day has in store. The Fjord sightseeing boat is basically just a ferry. It takes you on a lazy tour through the fjord with a little bit of automated narration throughout the ride.
Of close to 1,200 paintings, over 7,000 drawings and sketches. The houses were the perfect location for the illegal sale of alcohol. Nowadays, we can joyfully view them as pearls of beauty on a string.
Immediately after disembarking from the sightseeing boat, we headed over to another little ferry that would take us over to the museum island. We've rented a couple bikes. We're on the museum island. We're gonna go check out the Stave Church, some others. We found that walking was just not cutting it, so we have to pick up the speed. Got to pick up the pace, ride these bikes. All right, Jamie, are you ready?
Okay, let's try this.
The Stave Church is right behind that. We'll figure out how to get there. So it turns out the Stave Church is behind this heavy-duty fence because it is part of the Folk Museum, which in retrospect feels kind of obvious. Anyway, we're not gonna go to the Folk Museum. We're gonna go check out the Fram Museum. See the Fram Polar Expedition boat and Thor Heyerdahl's Kon-Tiki, hopefully. It's our next stop, back on the bikes.
That felt secure. There it is. Yep. It's in there.
The bike was a lot of fun. Certainly made going up the hills a lot easier.
This is the Kon-Tiki Museum. The Kon-Tiki is a boat of balsa wood logs made by Thor Heyerdahl. Heyerdahl had the idea that the Polynesian islands were colonized from South America. And so in order to demonstrate that this was possible, he, using indigenous methods, harvested the wood, built the raft to Inca standards, more or less, and with a small crew sailed across the ocean to Polynesia successfully. While this is not probably how those islands were colonized, Heyerdahl's expedition was an example of experimental archaeology. In essence, you try to figure out how people in the past did stuff by trying it yourself and seeing what works. What I like about this approach is it emphasizes that it is possible to do all this stuff. It's just a matter of figuring out how. In this day and age where you have all this nonsense about aliens building pyramids and stuff like that, it's heartening to think about an approach that throws all that out the window and figures out how people actually did things. Next stop is the Fram Museum. Built in 1892, the Fram had a unique rounded hull that would allow it to rise above the crushing pressure of polar ice, a critical innovation that allowed it to survive conditions that had splintered other boats. This unique capability meant that the theory of polar drift could be tested by intentionally freezing the ship into sea ice and tracking its movement, which Nansen did in 1893 to 96. Her long list of accomplishments includes carrying the Amundsen expedition to Antarctica in 1911, the first successful expedition to the South Pole. Now let's go give this ship a close look. Interactive exhibits give you a slight hint as to what life must have been like on that ship at sea and in the ice.
Yeah. Up. Through.
Yep. After the boat ride, we headed to the park-like grounds of Akershus Fortress. It's a beautiful spot, and it's full of people enjoying the sunny day. But there's plenty of reminders that you are at an active military location as well. So Oslo is loaded up with sculptures. We're seeing them all over the place. And while there's a few that are, this or that important person, a lot of them like this are not. They are kind of the everyman. This one's called Glory, Glory on Crutches. It depicts a woman coming back from war, laden, I guess, metaphorically and physically with all of her baggage from the war. But she's not an individual person, as is the case with a lot of them. Many of them are like roles, mothers or workers or this or that, as opposed to individuals. Our last stop of the day is the Oslo Cathedral, built around the turn of the 18th century. The inside is decorated with fantastic paintings from the early 20th century. Good morning, it's our second day in Oslo. We're heading off to meet up with our friends Doug and Shellie for a cup of coffee, and then start today's adventures. Unfortunately, as it turned out, our friends experienced a little difficulty with their room key, so we decided to grab some bikes and meet up with them over at Frogner Park. We're in Frogner Park, here to see the work of this guy, Gustav Vigeland, who famously spent his life making the art that fills this park. This sign outside the park gives you a little timeline of the development of the place. So it started as an 18th century manor house, and then in 1924, Vigeland started his project, securing permission initially for his fountain. He worked on it till his death in 1943. All right, let's pile in. For lunch, we headed to Mathallen, a food court located in a converted early 20th century industrial building, but encountered an interesting surprise on the way.
Here we go. That was a big bite. That's good.
Shellie loves hills. Built in 1080, the Old Acre Church is not just the oldest standing church in Oslo, it's the oldest building there as well. Unfortunately, it was closed today. Band practice, I guess. Our final stop of the weekend is the Munch Museum. It's this way. Like a lot of people, I suppose, I was only really familiar with the Scream. It was interesting to see the variety of other work that Munch had done over the years. In this room, they have 3 versions of the screen, each shown intermittently to reduce the amount of sunlight and damage each is subjected to. This exhibit includes artifacts and settings from Munch's life, the idea being, I suppose, to give you a little glimpse into his day-to-day world.
Hei, velkommen. I am Mr. Munch's husholderske. Housekeeper.
This camera thing was too cool. The museum also provides space for some contemporary exhibits like this one that is supposed to evoke feelings of childhood or something like that.